What's happening, perfectionists? My name is Russell Holiday. This is the Nothing is Perfect podcast. And on today's 12th episode of the show, Dustin, Boydell, and I will be speaking with none other than Witton Chau. He is the newest feature writer for the Hockey News covering the Vancouver Canucks. He also runs Nucks 101, which you may have already seen on Instagram and Facebook. We will also be getting into what happened between him and Jordan on Canucks Uncensored. We're going to talk about the good and bad of last season. We're going to talk about how he grades this team offseason work so far. As well, we're going to talk about Elias Pettersson's past, present, and future with the Vancouver Canucks. So make sure you stay attentive and ready to learn about everything from Witton Chau, Dustin Boydell, and myself, Russell Holiday, here on the 12th episode of Nothing is Perfect. Today, I'm once again joined by one half of the Rusty and Dusty Sideshow, Mr. Dustin Boydell. And today, our very special guest, the one and only Mr. Witton Chau. What's up, my dude? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. How about you guys?
Good.
Doing great. Hope your summer's going well. Great to finally digitally meet you. I'm excited to get your thoughts and feelings on how the Canucks have done so far this offseason, your kind of debrief on how you feel, what went wrong last season, and where you think the ceiling could potentially be for this upcoming season with the newly mantled head coach, Manny Malhotra.
Yeah, many things there. Which one would you like me to start with?
Well, before
first
we get
introduce yourself to our listeners.
Yeah.
Right? Is usually what we get our guests on the podcast to do.
Yeah, because I got you listed here. Everyone can see right below your name. It says Hockey News and Nucks 101. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Hockey News, or do you want to start with Nucks 101?
I can start with either or, but they'll intertwine at some point. But yeah, I can start with Nucks 101 to start.
For sure.
Yeah, so Nucks 101 is something I started 3 to 4 months ago, solo. And that's, I guess, unfortunate, but I used to be part of one half of Canucks Uncensored, and Canucks Uncensored is still going, and I support that show, and Jordan and I are still good friends. We were just not doing this thing together anymore. And so I started Nucks 101, and he keeps Canucks Uncensored, and we both just have half of each other's platforms. We had 6 platforms together. I got to keep Instagram, Facebook, and X. And then he got to keep TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube. So both of us have to start fresh on the other 3 platforms. And I'm just taking my time and going from there, because the Instagram is kind of what my bread and butter was, is not really doing videos, but it's really just doing the infographics and putting things out there that I think people would like. And I know the graphics, sometimes people will say it's very text heavy or info heavy, but I think that if you have a lot of stuff in one place, someone can just save it and refer to it later, and they don't have to look in multiple places. And I just wanted people to have that convenience. And I wanted Nucks 101 to keep that vision going. Facebook was kind of the same idea, the graphics. Yeah, and I guess really X as well. But my X account didn't actually take off with the graphics at all. It was the second that I joined the Hockey News, that's when it started to take off. So
yeah, so talk a bit about the graphics too, because we were chatting before we got started here, and you're talking about the fact that graphics was never really your thing, but it just kind of started being your thing, and now you're just rocking out with it.
Yeah, so this is what happened. Like when Jordan and I first started, it was just YouTube. And we slowly had these platforms, but YouTube was our main focus. And then Jordan's such a nice guy, he didn't really call me out, right, or get mad at me for not doing anything, but I literally would go to his house and do the thing, do the episodes, do the podcast, and I would leave. And don't get me wrong, like of course there's dedication in that, but he's the one doing all the editing. He's the one setting up the camera, setting everything up beforehand, coming up with the scripts. So he's kind of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. hey, it'd be nice if you once in a while, put up a story or do something. And I was like, oh, okay, I better take this as I got to do more. So I chopped up some pretty brutal things. Like I would go on X and I would see like a tweet and it would chop it off with like the black box, and then I would find some Canuck banners and I would just put it all together, and then I would put it online as a story, and that's how I started. And then Jordan would be like, okay, Witt, as long as you're getting something out there, it's okay. He didn't want to tell when he didn't want to tell me it was terrible, but I I knew it was terrible. He was too nice of a guy, right? But I knew it was terrible. I think he just wanted me to try, right? And then the more I did it, the more I said, I need some help here. I want to see what AI can do. And AI is actually not that bad for a start, right? Like I think I would come up with multiple versions of things. I would just talk to it with the speech, put everything up, and it's not bad. It still takes 4, 5, 6 hours to do, but I would copy and paste everything together and then remove all those AI faces and then manually crop the real faces onto the people, right? I guess that's what you call AI slop. But I still did my best. I put them all together. Still a lot of time and effort. People can say what they want. It is very fair. And I tell every single person that, calls it AI slop and does their own graphics really nice. I say, on my best day, guys, I can't even touch what you do. So I don't care what other people say and how much better people say mine looks than yours or other people. I say, no, yours looks better. You do the real thing. I'm just, I'm like the imitator or something like that. Like I'm not the right, but I said I wanted to get the real thing out there, or the real information to people. How it looks, right? Like that's up to other people to decide, right? But for me, looking at the number of views and people, following, I think that's the most important for me. That people are liking the content. They don't really care if it's AI. It's a small portion that will give me a hard time. But no matter what you do, you're gonna get something. So that's what I've learned to accept. And I don't know if you guys go through the same.
I think Dustin can speak to this. Like the amount of times we've had haters on this channel that have turned out to be some of our biggest fans. Like Dustin can speak a lot about that, because for some reason people just show up and they're like, Dustin Boydell is a stupid son of a bitch. And then like a week later, they're like, we love Dusty, he's the silver fox.
Well, it helps when they're complaining about stuff that I end up being right about. That always helps. I'm not right all the time, but when you have more hits than misses, it does help. But in the world of in the time of the digital era, I mean, there's a million ways to get the information out there. So to break in, everyone has to start somewhere. Everyone has to figure out their niche. And, from what I've been seeing on your Instagram graphics and things, I mean, Russ, you better look out with your stats that you want, but you don't really need. Because, I mean, Witton has all the data, and I actually love that, because I'm a very data-driven person, right? Like that's where I see the patterns, and I have pattern recognition is one of my strongest assets. And that's how I'm able to diagnose and analyze hockey, just being a guy sitting at home. It's one of my skills. And so, I don't have a lot of experience in that digital creation thing, but I can say too, like I lean on Russ to do a lot of it, but I make sure he knows he's appreciated, and how much I just try to give my best effort for him and make sure I'm well informed and do all my homework. But then when you bring up AI, I mean, it is an incredible tool. I just recently completely overhauled my Twitch stream because, I wanted to do a full rebrand and lean into the Paragolf Pro thing. And I utilized ChatGPT, and as long as you're very clear with your instructions, and, you might have to do revision after revision, but you can get some pretty professional looking graphics at the end once you put in the work, edit the details, and get there. And I can see how people who do that as a living will be offended or be upset because it's taking money out of their pocket. But at the same time, like, I may not have the money to invest in that right now, right? Like, I want to make sure that this is a viable situation. And then, you know, in a year, if I have a decent sub count or followership, right, then I'll maybe reach out to a actual graphic designer and be like, hey, let's make a professional logo and whatever. But, you know, working your way from the bottom, you learn so much more. And that's kind of where Russ and I started when you want
I'm
to
just
bring
going to
it full
show this to you
circle.
right now, Dustin. Do you recognize this?
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
I mean,
literally
that's
the
our
sim.
logo.
This is written on the backside of Clayburn Dental's, open 7 days a week. This is the logo for my. I just made this up one day when I was doodling. This is the whole thing. So
Yep.
like,
Yes.
you just got to do what you got to do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
bring it full circle, like even with Russ and I, and doing every new thing that we do together, like the post game show or the Rusty and Dusty sideshow, or this summer the podcast, we have to start at the bottom and find our rhythm and find where everything feels comfortable. But once we find that, it's easy to have someone like Russ working. And it's nice to hear that you and Jordan continue to be friends and are supporting each other's channels. You know, from the outside, when you're a content consumer as well as a content producer, like I take in a lot of the Canucks content out there, and that helps me stay informed for our show. But without really knowing and seeing you guys kind of go your separate ways, it felt almost like a internet divorce. But so it's nice to hear that everything's good between the two of you, and that you're just kind of doing your own thing now. And I've enjoyed all the information. I liked your recent one you had up about all the different best lines of each era. Was really cool one. I really enjoyed that graphic. So keep up the incredible work.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. So I really appreciate it. And I'm gonna keep grinding. I think I got another one that I'm gonna do tonight. But it's actually been a little bit difficult. I would say the second year doing this, like August, this bit here is really tough. There's not much going on out there, so I find myself doing graphics, like 2 graphics in 10 days. I'm like, dude, like, is this Witten guy slacking or something? This guy used to do like at least 4 graphics a week, right? And so like there's not
Just
that much, but
just
it's
do what the
okay.
local media does. Make shit up.
Yeah. So Witt, you got the Nucks 101, all the graphics that people have seen on Instagram and are loving. You told me a little bit that you're now going to be launching a Nucks 101 YouTube channel. So can you tell me a little bit about what people can expect once you're launching that one, moving into the new season?
Yeah, so I haven't put an actual premiere date or anything. I'm just kind of talking about it, but I'm thinking to launch it maybe first week of September or something like that, and maybe second week at most. I just want to be there for that training camp, and right before the season starts, I just want to be there for that timing. So I want to do a weekly show. I don't know what night. If I can make it work, maybe I can do a Friday night just to hang out, whoever wants to be there. Maybe, of course, it is also Friday night, so I might have some one-offs, but who doesn't, right? So I'm thinking maybe I can just stick to one, and then other game days, if I'm available, I can go and do that. Yeah.
So you're saying,
that,
so for Nucks 101, so YouTube channel, you're still doing the graphics thing, but I mean, obviously we've got you listed as working for the Hockey News as well. I looked up your profile on the Hockey News. You've got 3 articles out. You got one that was 5 pending UFAs the Canucks should re-sign in the offseason. You've got the Canucks need a center. Should they wing it with Ivar Stenberg? And then your most recent one came out on July 25th. That one is Vancouver's 2025-26 report card for Liam Ogren. So, and you said you got another one coming out. So how are Nucks 101 and Hockey News related, and how has it been writing for the Hockey News so far?
Yeah, so just I think people will probably want to hear this part. So this hockey thing that came up actually happened. I reached out to them because they had been promoting it for a few days. Like, hey, we need writers. It actually happened 2 days after Jordan and I split up. It was from Canucks Uncensored. It was on a Monday, and that was a really tough day. and I was having a really tough time, and I was thinking about applying, but I never told Jordan because I wasn't planning to do it. But because of that, I'm like, you know what, I can't just hide. I can't just hide behind, you know, Jordan for everything, right? He carries the show, he does all that, right? And I can't also just be only doing graphics. I got to do more, right? I know I'm capable of more, and so I said, hey, you know, I'm not too terrible of a writer. I'm gonna apply. So I applied on a Wednesday, sent in my sample on Wednesday night to Adam. I actually messaged Adam, and he messaged me Thursday morning and said, hey, looks good. And I had actually wrote to him in my draft piece, my sample piece, I should say. I wrote down why Canucks picking second overall is better than first overall. That it might be better, right? And I explained all my points, and then that's what Adam said. It looked good, and the next day, Friday at lunch, I was like, it was my teaching break, right? I'm a teacher, and so I'm looking through my phone, and I get this message from Adam, and usually, I don't know, I expected the worst. It's like, hey, you know, thank you for your consideration. However, you know, we decided to go a different path or whatever, right? Like that was the message I was expecting. So I read it, and he's like, you know, hi, Witton, thanks for whatever. I am pleased to offer you the position. And I was like, oh, okay, this is freaking awesome, right? I was like, oh, what I wrote was, you know, it was there. So I was super stoked. And you know, and I started asking things like, oh, like what am I writing, or like how many articles I have to write, and you know, how does it go, and you know, and then they just said, you come up with the topics and we will approve of them, and if we don't approve of them, then you know, you find something else, or we will give you a topic. And that very first one is actually them giving me a topic, that 5 UFAs. I just said, hey, I don't want to overstress myself. Let me just get one article out of the way, and then I'll do my own. So I came up with the Stenberg one, and then I keep taking hints and suggestions of, you know, what I can do better, right? And I always want to adapt. And I think Izzy from the Hockey News, you know, gave me one really big piece of advice, right? And she told me to stick to my strengths. So I asked her what they were, and she said, I'm really good at putting information down without being too dense, but also following a personal narrative. And I don't know if you guys see that in my writing at all, but that's like my bread and butter, and I don't know how to write any other way. And so I try to plug as much information in there and somehow tie it back all together without being too dense. I just want to put everything together, kind of like how I do my infographics. I just kind of put them all together, but make it weave and whatnot. So yeah, and then Hockey News was doing a feature of season reviews and then season previews. So everyone had to do one of those. So Adam and Izzy did the bulk of them, and then the other two that were hired, Daniela and Jaden, also you know, write their piece as well. So they've got their articles up, and they do a pretty good job too.
So you're getting a press pass? Is that what's happening? We're going to see down giving Manny Malhotra a hard time in the press conference?
Yeah, here's the funny part. I don't want to push my luck on that, so I haven't asked.
Just hope they hand it to you one day. Just be like, here you go.
Yeah, and I mean, a big reason is like I didn't ask this. One, is too early, and two, I kind of got a little bit discouraged. What happened was, you know, Adam and Izzy just randomly just put in the chat one day, hey, hey guys, I just want to be honest. I was unable to get you access pass to talk to the prospects in Abbotsford. We didn't say nothing. Yeah. No one asked for anything, and then they just said that part, and I was like, no problem. And then I, you know, of course, I think in back of my head, like, you know, maybe pass or not, I don't know, but maybe when the season comes, I'll treat it as a bonus if I get it. But I'm definitely not going to ask. But I think even if I got a pass in to go scout the prospects in Abbotsford, or I got a pass just to, you know, on game day, just to, you know, observe some of the players and just watch, I that's a huge win for me, just being there. So I think just having this job right now, writing one article a week or whatever I'm doing right now, like this is a huge win.
Well, that's one of the best things about your writing is that you are personal and you can feel the connection to it, and that you care, and this is how you truly feel, and you present the data in a way that supports that. One of the things that I get tired of with some of the content creators is the regurgitation of whatever the masses are saying. And they just say it because, well, this guy said it or that guy said it. Well, how do you feel about it truly? And get into it with how you feel. And they don't have the data and they don't have the facts and the information. It's just, well, I read it on X, or I heard one of the media guys say it. And it's like, well, do you believe it? Do you truly believe that those are the facts and the data that back up everything that's being said about certain players or coaches or managers and things like that? And I truly appreciate that about your writing. And it's one of the reasons I think that Russ and I continue to grow as a channel is because we truly believe what we are saying. And we take the time to go in and do the breakdowns of the patterns and take the time to research the minor team. Like Sapster, to give a little shout out to another guest we've had on the channel, just did a great blog breaking down Manny's 2-3 offense. And I suggest all our listeners get out there and read it. If you haven't, you can find it on his website. It's really, I tried to explain it last year about the Sedin system and how it looks like a lot like 2011 and the way that they played offense. And no one believed us because they were so bad last year because of the injuries. But when the time comes, as long as you stand on that sword and you don't get bent and you stand behind your beliefs, the moments come. And you're not going to be right all the time, but you can't just change your tune because someone else said it and they're more important in the media and stuff. So keep going with what you're doing. You're only going to grow. And the fact that you're willing to accept criticism, I mean, that's the only way that you can get better. I mean, nobody is perfect. Nothing is perfect. Just keep up the hard work.
What
thank you.
Does your because you said you're a teacher, do your students know about this?
Yeah, so some of them do, and I think that's also part of the reason, believe it or not, that Canucks Uncensored split up. It was, without getting too into it, but I do want to brush on this. Is Canucks Uncensored started, say what you want, don't worry. People want to hear everyone's thoughts. Like people always say the safe things, you want to say whatever, right? And Jordan and I started like that. We just said, hey, oh my gosh, this Drance guy's so arrogant. Oh, and this guy's saying like this, and we were saying that we didn't care, didn't give or whatever, right? And the views were up, and right, and those guys didn't say anything to us, right? I'm pretty sure they heard it, right? But months later, I go back and watch it, and I'm like, okay, well, views or not, I don't know if that was very good. And whether I believe it or not, I don't know if that's my style. And I actually had admin from my school, or former teachers I worked with, follow me and tell me, they're like, hey man, like I know you've scaled it down since you've done that, but you also have a partner that does not scale it down. And even though he could be right about a lot of things, not a lot of people like that, and your name is attached to Canucks Uncensored, even if you don't say anything. And it all just hit at once that I had to take a step back. And Russell, you've seen it on the stream where Jordan would say something about Pettersson, the most famous guy out there right now, and
he never says anything about right? Petey. Come on, Jordan loves Petey.
So.
Well, we just had Ryan Ventura on the podcast last week, and he was doing a brand new thing. He was doing bare knuckle fighting, which is the new hockey thing. It's on ESPN. So I figure me and Jordan probably will have to lace up and get down there and do some bare knuckle, because me and him have gone at it a couple times, which has been all in good fun.
All in good fun. And I remember that day. It just like that. And then you saw my face and you were like, actually, I think Witton's trying to say something different. And then I'm like, oh, damn it, why does Russ have to say this? I'm like, I'm on camera, and I'm not a good liar. I'm like, okay, yeah, I wasn't saying this, Jordan.
I'm
But
a
I tried to say it,
bartender. I
I'm
can
like,
read
you know,
people's faces. I know what's going on in your brain, even if you're not saying it.
Yeah, and that's
Right,
my
and then I
pattern
had to-
recognition too.
right, the pattern recognition, and you know, and I realized, you know, from there, like, even if I don't say anything, it's gonna show on my face, and a lot of people are gonna see it, and even if I wasn't there, and Jordan went on a rant on himself, like by himself, and say whatever, and then good on him if he does that, right? It still affects me, and he wanted to just say, hey, Witt, don't worry about your school. I understand your job. You're good, right? But then it's still not good, even if he says it himself, signing on as Canucks Uncensored. I'm one half of it, or was. So that, you know, and then I just said to him, like, hey, like, we really got to talk. Like, you know, this is not gonna work out for both of us, because in a way, I'm censoring you, and I'm censoring myself. And even though I'm holding back, and it's not like I want to unload and say whatever, I don't want to say things where it shows on my face where it looks different. And people that don't know us, they'll think completely different. I don't, like, Russell knows me, right? But you know, someone else might take my facial expressions as something else. And I just didn't want that. And I didn't want the school stuff. So I just said, hey, like, I think we gotta just part ways, but I couldn't have found a better person to start this with. And he's made me so much better with on screen. Like, talking as a teacher is completely different than talking on camera. They're two completely different things. So he's made me such a better, you know, person from all of this. So yeah, I you know, just wanted to say that.
No, of course.
Yeah.
And with that, I mean, it's nice to have you here to give your own thoughts on you know, last season and how you feel it went. You know, first off, what do you feel was the main problem with the Canucks last year?
Okay, so the main problem with the Canucks last year was that it was Operation keep Quinn Hughes at all costs, and I think that messed them up really, really bad. It messed them up so bad. Like, you know, even before Adam Foote ran his, you know, system, which, you know, a lot of us might not agree with, and how it how it really looked on the ice, right? I mean, that's a totally different thing. Just everything they were sacrificing to keep Quinn Hughes, everything they were saying to the media, everything that they were doing, you know, and they were still going after Kadri and certain people before, you know, December. Like, the things they were willing to do, sacrificing the future, doing everything to keep Quinn Hughes, that messed up so many of their plans. It really did.
Yep.
Did they really get really good value? Yeah, you know what? They actually came out of it not too bad, right? Like the equivalent of 4 first-round picks. That's not too bad, right? What they eventually did was not too bad. It's everything they did in that year, including start of the season to what actually transpired, really sunk the Canucks.
Yep.
I really believe that. I don't know what what you guys think of that, but that was one of the biggest falls. I mean,
Yeah, I
you can also
agree.
blame the coach too, but yes.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. And if you really follow the breadcrumbs, I mean, the pandering to Hughes goes all the way back to the Horvat trade. And then it just is piece after piece after piece, little trinket here, little trinket there. Oh, maybe if we do these things, then in 5 years when his contract is up, then he'll stay. But it was just mistake after mistake, like you said, and it just created this turmoil and chaos. And I mean, if there's rock bottom for the Canucks organization, I hope to hell it was last season. What about you, Russ?
I'm gonna knock on wood again for that one because
Hey, you and Ryan said it last week, so I'm saying it
Yeah.
this week.
yeah, no, it's yeah, you got like 3 seasons that you can talk about in my lifetime. 98, 99, 2016, 17, and 25, 26 have got to be like the 3 worst years in my fandom, and they were all disasters for different reasons. Most of the time, the overarching theme, if you were to give it a theme for all 3 of those seasons, is clinging on to hope of success without just realizing that you need to start from scratch. And I mean that you can see the threads throughout all three of those seasons. But having said that, too, and I've said this a few times, I still think that Jim Rutherford was always one of those guys that had plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. He always had other things that he was working in the background. And I give him credit for being the only president in the history of this franchise, literally the only president in the history of this franchise that have sent this team into a full rebuild and got the owner to say the R word, which is crazy. And we heard him comment about how we have started this rebuild like 2 to 3 years ago, and people are like, you're crazy, what are you talking about? But look at the defense, Witt, and I don't know if you agree with this statement. The Canucks defense is far more advanced, and one of the harder positions to start a rebuild in is your defense. So in some ways, was Jim Rutherford telling the truth when he said, hey, we've already started this rebuild, because they're so far advanced with all the prospects they have racked up now when it comes to their defensive squad, at least.
I agree with that. Like, for people that call BS, what I want to say to that is, it's true. The only problem was he was not told that he could rebuild until he was able to. It took losing Quinn Hughes for the owner to say, like, out of everything that's ever happened, we probably lost the best defensive we've ever had in franchise history, guaranteed Hall of Famer, and we lost that. That is probably one of the lows that you could ever have. You drafted this guy in the first round. I mean, don't get me wrong, like Bury 6th round, and that also hurt, right? But this one, where he was actually selling hope, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, this guy actually fell to us. Like, that is the crazy part. And you know, some of the moves he made, like trading for Marcus Pettersson, like that was a now move. But all those prospects that he got and everything building the defense, that part is true. He did start a rebuild in some ways. I think it was almost like in the middle, kind of like a retool. But like you're kind of doing both, but still being anchored down by the fact that you were still trying to keep Quinn Hughes, right? Yep. Like you went with the two gambles. You gambled that Demko's going to be healthy. You gambled that Hito was going to stay healthy. And you know what? Those gambles pay off for all of 6 games. Canucks were 4-2. I don't think they've ever been better after that, if you really think about it, right? Yep. Like, heck, I predicted them to go 8-2. I don't know what the heck with my optimism to start the season, right? But like, hey, it's all good. Like, we ended up in some ways silver lining if you think about it. And as you mentioned, Russ, the Canucks are finally in a rebuild. Call them cheap or call them whatever for you know what they're doing now with their rebuild, hiring cheap guys or whatever. There's still time to judge that, right? It's not like these guys are bad hires; they're just cheap hires, right? It doesn't necessarily mean they're bad hires. It's the people that you have in the locker room, right? Culture guys, you got those guys. You have young players, and you drafted 10 times pretty much in the first round, right? Not 9 times, but you in the next couple of drafts, you're drafting 10 times, right? So, and hopefully we're going to get that number closer to 15, right? That's how you really rebuild, right? So there's some silver linings in it too. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I recently was watching the 100% Canucks podcast, which is on YouTube. So go check it out. Luke Shen came on to chat with John Shannon. And something I pulled from that interview that I found very interesting was Luke Shen talking about how he managed to stay in the league, because, and he's had, you know, his career went up and down. He was in the AHL. He was told, you know, it's never happening again. Ryan Johnson obviously was the guy who really helped get his career back on track. But the thing that he said that I found very interesting, and I think when he said it, it made me think immediately about Vittorio Mancini. Because, excuse me. Whoa. He said the way he stayed in this league was he got faster. But when I say that, you're like, Luke Shen's not a fast player. What are you talking about? He wasn't talking about his foot speed. He was talking about his ability to retrieve pucks and move quickly in those couple seconds. Get the puck and move quickly. And I think one thing that Vittorio Mancini has been one of his biggest opportunities moving into the new season is his puck retrieval in the corners, his puck retrieval on the boards, and to be the ability to move it quickly to somebody else or the ability to move it to one of his teammates really, really well. And I think Luke Schenn is the kind of guy who's going to be able to come in, one of those offseason moves. Papa's coming home for the third time. And I think he's going to have a huge influence on this defense, along with, Hronek, who's already here and is a good influence on this team, working his butt off. And Alexiak, who's a guy who, if anyone touches anyone, he will murder them on live national television, right? So you now have 3 veteran defensemen along with 4 very young defensemen. I think the combination of all of them is going to be absolutely amazing moving through this new season. So I'm very excited to see what this defensive core can do together.
And let's not forget Mancini reuniting with Jordan Smith. That is also going to be a huge elevation to his game as well. And I think we will see that puck retrieval improve, and we'll also see him have more options for outlets, given that now Holtra's system suits Mancini's game far more than whatever Foot was trotting out week after week last year.
So when it was a tough season, there was a lot of bad. When you look back on that season, was there anything you can pull from it where you're like, man, that was actually, I'll take that as a win?
One thing I can take, who I will tell you right now, is in my next preview article coming up in the next week, is my boy Linus Karlsson. I'm writing about this guy, and I can tell you, maybe not spoil it, but just telling you a little bit, like, that guy was money, and he is a perfect example of something Jim Benning said way back that was true, but he never did. And what he said back then, 100% true, was, I want to develop my prospects so that they're overripe in the AHL, so that when they come up, they got to dominate. I don't know if you guys remember that. But he said something along those lines. Okay? Linus Karlsson, out of all people, was the guy that was overripe. Everybody else was called up too early. I even truly believe Lekkerimäki was called up too early, to be honest. Right? You already know Virtanen, the too early, McCann too early, right? You know what those things can do. That's why I think this rebuild is perfect, because guys like Mancini can still play in the AHL and get better. You have guys like Luke Schenn, who played in the league, had trouble staying in the league, went back down to the AHL and didn't complain and worked his way back up to the NHL, but there were still things he needed to learn and pick up, because he was in a way also rushed, right? Like, there's a lot of pressure when somebody says, like, I'm not trading Luke Schenn for 10 first-round picks. That's a lot of pressure. Right? Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of pressure when someone says something like that. So that's why I like the rebuild. I like that Luke Schenn's here for the third time, and he can mentor people like Mancini. I really love this culture that is there, this Sedin culture. I really love it. There's less leaks. It's really quiet. They're doing a lot of things the right way. Jake DeBrusk trade, it will happen. It's just a matter of time. This management group is willing to trade for first-round picks 4 years from now. So if they're willing to do that, they're willing to do anything. That's awesome.
Do you think
they're going after RJ Celebrini? I've said it here first.
Yes.
But do you think with the prices that have been out there, Witt, do you think it is in the realm of possibility they can get a first-round pick for DeBrusk?
You know what? All it takes is one team. Like, did you guys think that we can get a Marcus Pettersson for any first? No. Based off of how that season went, even though that season was literally atrocious for pretty much all our defensemen. Pretty much. Right? Like, outside of Filip Hronek, maybe, right? Like, it was really destructive for a lot of them, right? Like, of course, like, Buyam showed a lot of promise, and Willander too, right? But really, how many of those defensemen really stayed afloat, right? Even though there's a lot of promise. So, yeah.
They all look great in Abby.
Yeah.
They all looked ready for the NHL. They all looked ready for the NHL. And you're a man after my own heart. I mean, Linus Karlsson is my boy as well. Last season, our preseason chat that Russ and I had, I said he's going to get 30 goals. And he got 15 in very limited ice time. I think if his ice time was matched his what he was doing on the ice, he probably would have been close to 30 goals. And I think this year coming up, he might legitimately get that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you think, though, like, Linus Karlsson is a definition of being overripe?
Oh
Like
yeah.
he played.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah. We watched him in the Calder Cup finals,
Yeah.
and I mean, he dominated down there because absolutely he was ready to make the jump, and I was so excited when they said he was getting promoted to the NHL level and was going to be a full-time player up there. Until I saw 2 weeks into the season how he was being deployed, and then I was very sad for him and was like,
Yes.
"Come back to Abbey where you
Yes.
can dominate because we need
Yes.
scoring."
One of my favorite
Yes.
moments in the season was when Adam Foote was like, "Oh, damn you, Petey, I'm going to demote you to the fourth line." And he was suddenly playing with Hoglander and Carlson. It was the best moment of the whole season, where the punishment was actually the line he should have put together as the top line to start the game. So that was a great moment.
I love it.
So Witt,
Touch.
off-season,
Yeah.
Canucks got the new regime. They got all the new parts moving. A couple trades here. They've done the draft, which I think we can call win. If you're giving an off-season grade for the Canucks, what are you saying for the Vancouver Canucks off-season this year?
I say A-. Like the only thing holding it from an A+ is a Jake DeBrusk trade. I think they've pretty much done almost everything they can in their power, in which what they have said, matching their actions to their words. That is the one thing that they haven't been able to do, right? And notice how I didn't say trade Pettersson. I said to just only trade Jake DeBrusk, right? That is for me the perfect offseason is one Jake DeBrusk trade away.
Well,
That's how I see it.
Russ and I talk quite a bit offline as well. And something that I noticed, it's little things, right? You got to be paying attention. A team is not going to do a complete highlight package portraying you as a leader with all your highlights and all your work you're doing out in the community in the middle of the summer if they're going to trade you or trying to trade you. Second, Rick Dollywell recently reporting that not once has Pettersson or his agent been approached about waiving a no movement clause. So you brought up the silence and the plugged leaks. I truly believe that is the truth. We've seen the media throwing darts at the wall, trying to drum up Pettersson trades, trying to say, oh, the scouting department's completely depleted. And then 2 weeks later, RJ I'll hire scouts. He just did that recently, filled out a couple of spots in that scouting department. And I personally love what they're doing. I think he's going to moneyball the shit out of this. I said that to Russ offline too. Like, I think he's the Billy Bean of hockey, and it's the culture. He's going to bring in guys that get on base. It's the stats. It's the buying into being a team player, which, I mean, yeah, rag on Pettersson all you want out there, fans, for not getting 100 points last year, but Connor McDavid wouldn't have got 100 points on that freaking team last year with Adam Foote as the coach. I say that genuinely believing it. He might have got close because he's Connor McDavid, but he would have been on a freaking island and the only guy producing. So, but when you flip that around and he sets a record for blocking shots for a team and a fan base that has done nothing but cut him down and just obliterate the guy's person in public, I have nothing but respect for that because I've been hit with a lot of hockey pucks. And even at the beer league level, I can't imagine getting in front of some of the slap shots that guy throws his body in front of. And to me, that is the epitome of a team player when you talk hockey and culture and buying into being for the logo on the front and not the name on the back.
Oh, I hear you. And I don't know if you heard, any of my stuff that I've talked about for Pettersson, but just, it's so easy to just talk from the eye test. It's so easy to only look at the data, but you kind of have to put both together, right? And you have to ask why things happen. And the thing for me, you hear things all the time. What is wrong with Elias Pettersson? Why is he not scoring all these points? Why is he not skating as fast? There are reasons for these things. Why is he all of a sudden become the number one forward in block shots in 1 year? Why? There's a reason. The reason is very simple. It's not that this guy forgot how to play hockey. It's the reason that this guy still has a knee injury. This guy is still injured. Like, people say, let's have him have a fresh start. Let's trade him to LA as an example. Let's trade him. Okay.
Please God, no.
Right. Let's just say you trade him. Okay. So now he's in LA. Is he all of a sudden going to skate miles faster and skate way better and just find the foot speed he had from 3 years ago? No. His confidence might be a little higher because he's away from all this trash talk that everyone's doing to him. He might be a little bit better, but the core of it are the injuries, right? He might still even have a wrist thing, but the speed has been down. It's not because he's lazy. So what does he do? He changes his game to block shots. Is it 11.6? You can argue that one. But he's still finding a way to be in the lineup. And if anything, it's probably more management that if he hurt himself, no one's complaining if he took a year off and say, I want to rehab this thing and I want to rest this thing properly. Because anyone that has knee tendonitis will probably tell you it's going to take a year and a half to 2 years to fully feel ready. And that's without all this NHL contact.
That's any tendonitis, not just in the knee,
Brett,
right? And,
yes.
And, you know, asking him to put on weight and get stronger, you bring up all the little things and just who he is as a person. You saw the connection that he had, or the respect he showed Bruce Boudreau and the way he played for him as a coach, and then unceremoniously let go in a very poor fashion. With whoever, if you're raised in a good family and you have good values, that would rub you the wrong way. And that just started a downward spiral for just the way the organization themselves started failing him. And, you know, maybe it was a little bit of both, but for such a young kid to just be cut down by his GM publicly, cut down by his coach publicly, and then go through the personal issues that he's gone through and just have everyone basically just start throwing the knives in. The fact he even puts the skates on for the Canucks anymore and still wants to, I mean, all the power to him. I'm here for it.
Yeah, like I'm here for it too, and I just, like, one example I kind of want to give, but it's a different injury, is remember they were trying to force Jack Eichel to play before he got traded. They tried to force him and he's like, no, trade me and I'm gonna rehab. And not only did he rehab and get better, this guy banked on himself and then goes and wins the Stanley Cup, right? Maybe we're not winning a Stanley Cup right now, but the fact is Pettersson could have spent the time to rehab properly, and if he really did have the knee tendonitis and they're being so hard on him, that's really shame, right? That's a real shame, that the flack that he's been getting, right?
Well, the other narrative that drives me nuts, Witt, I don't know if you agree with this one, and it actually has to do with Pettersson and Karlsson, two guys that we've been talking about. Everyone's like, these guys don't fit into our window. They don't fit into the rebuild. They're going to be too old. It's like, what are you talking about?
27.
Like, you don't have to have a team completely comprised of 24, 25-year-olds to win a Stanley Cup. Who was the Conn Smythe Trophy winner this year? He's an old-ass man, right? Like, you have to have people of all ages. It's just because it's probably going to be a couple years before this team can truly be a contender doesn't mean you just have to have a fire sale and get rid of everyone, because then you end up with Chicago, who's just a team that has been bad all the time, every single year. They are going to waste the entire ELC for Bedard, and they're going to waste the entire contract that he just signed with them because they got rid of everyone. They don't have anyone to insulate them. There's nothing wrong with having people who are 29, 30 years old when you're a contender. There's nothing wrong with that as long as they're a piece of the puzzle and a part of the team that helps you win.
Yeah, that's why I don't mind that, Pettersson is here. I really don't. He's more valuable now than any trade that we're going to trade him for. So if that's the case, why are you trying so hard to get rid of him? Right? Because this guy can totally still bounce back, right? But the bounce back, for me personally, it doesn't really depend on the line mates. Even though line mates are very important, if this guy can just heal up his knee and skate the way that he was able to, right, and his wrist is better, like those two things, like that's gonna get him back to where he was. It's going to, like, that, if anything, is going to give him the confidence. right? Like I personally think it's 70% injuries and 30% confidence. You trade him to another team, maybe he gets up to the 30% confidence. He's still 70% injured and adapting to the knee, as he told you, as he said near the end of the season, I'm gonna have to play through this, but it's playable, right? So we're just gonna have to see. And hopefully this is the season that he was actually able to train properly and be strong.
Well,
I
apparently he's not
Yeah.
allowed to train where he wants, you know, because you train in the off season when these
Mm.
fans beg you to train, but you're training in LA, so get the fuck out of our city, you know?
Yeah, yeah, he is training, so I don't know what the heck's going on.
Well,
So
and another narrative that obviously a lot of people have talked about and we've seen is the fun that these young guys were having on this team to finish the season. Once it was very clear this team was not going to win, they were not going to make the playoffs. They locked up last place weeks before the season ended, and you started to see the young guys start to have some fun, start to play well. You saw injection of players coming up from Abbotsford that seemed to improve the lineup as well. But the one thing I didn't see a lot of people talking about, and I think me and Dustin maybe mentioned it a few times, it felt like Pettersson was getting into Deaky Pettersson. Do a Deke Petey. We talked about that. And it felt like he was trying to do things that he hadn't tried to do in a long time. And I don't know, Witt, did you see the same thing where he was trying to do the fancy dancy stuff that he's known for?
yes, I did see at the end of the season, and I don't remember which game, but there was a 3-on-3 overtime where he was doing exactly what you were talking about. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. I want to see more. I want to keep seeing more of this or whatever, right? But like I said, I don't know how the knee really is, but that's the Pedersen we learned to love, right? Like I don't know if you saw that post. I think it was Sepster's post on X, but Pedersen is up there for the most goals in their first 100 games. It was actually him, Besser, and Kuzmenko,
Yep.
Yep.
right? You,
I
you
mean,
know what exactly we're talking.
we're two
But
of the biggest drum beaters for Petey. I mean, I've been his biggest defender.
yeah,
I have gone to that hill
yeah,
and back and died on it
yes,
and been
yeah,
resurrected and died on it again.
yeah,
And chat comes at me every time, and
yeah,
I stand by it. He
yeah,
just needs to find the joy in the game again, and
yes,
this group will get that out of
yeah,
him, and they are all going to be shocked at how much different it is when he actually cares about the game again and having fun.
yeah. I really hope so. Like I just doing this, I definitely can see the both sides and see why why people say he doesn't live up to the contract. I can definitely see that too. If I did have one wrinkle about him that I will say is that multiple people have called him out for not controlling what he can control, namely the Sedins, saying that hit their best seasons was when they were in shape or whatever. But it's many people have said it. Lyndon has also said it, and a lot of people over the years have said that he hasn't controlled what he could control, which is off the ice. No one's really. I actually haven't complained about what he's doing on the ice because I already know he's injured. So I appreciate that he's going and blocking shots. I'm just kind of trapped in this spot where I'm like, is he actually not training properly and controlling what he can control? Or is it he's being accused of it, but really it's not in his control because he's actually hurt and he can't train the proper way? That's where I'm torn and I don't know which one it is. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
where
And I
I
think it's a
don't know.
combination of I
Yeah.
think it's a combination of that, and I think it's a combination
Yeah.
of mental health
Yeah.
stresses.
Hmm.
We all have heard the story of him getting taken by a con artist on a
Yeah.
property that him and his wife were had purchased, and
Yeah.
it was in the tune of millions of dollars that he was
Yeah.
swindled for. So I don't know if that's even still if that's still probably ongoing. I mean, that I'm sure that is not or will not be a quick process to solve. Two miscarriages in season. Uh,
Yes.
Personally, for me, Katie and I went through a miscarriage last year as well, and to the feelings that I was going through, I couldn't imagine going and trying to play an NHL hockey game. But he, got out there and gave it everything he could. And the other thing that like fans tend to forget about last season is in that awful, awful foot system. he put up a career high numbers in high danger chances created. And his two line mates that were mostly pasted with him all season both put up career lows in shooting percentage and 5-on-5 goals. So when people complain that the production wasn't there, he was setting them up and there was nobody really knocking them down. And, you know, yeah, you could say he needs to shoot more. And it's like, well, the lanes weren't opening up for him to shoot. He's been basically double teamed in double coverage ever since he got 100 points. And to break through the defense to get those shots, you need your line mates hitting the net more so that opens up more space for you. And so I think there's a huge combination of things that have worked against him, both personally, both organizationally. And I'm just excited that we can almost have it's almost like a change of scenery for him to have this new regime come in, change the culture, plug the leaks, get things moving in the right direction. And I think that, you know, with putting that social media post out and its positive reinforcement about, hey, this guy's a leader, this guy's here to be a Canuck, like putting that out there to me was them trying to put water on the smoke around any trade rumors about him whatsoever. Yeah. And so I'm prepared to see Petey smiling again. I'm prepared to see Lecker-Mackey stick twirling again. I'm prepared to see it lighter, more energy, just natural energy, even if they're losing. It's just going to be a different vibe. And so I think that will be refreshing and healthy for Pettersson going forward.
Yeah, I actually really like the point that you brought up. I didn't think about it too much because I know what Pettersson can do when he's healthy, regardless of who his line mates are. But his numbers are definitely 10 to 20 points less because those line mates didn't finish. But the most important thing that people need to realize is you can say he's not worth 11.6, but you still have respect in your name when people still need to double you on the power play. People still need to double you in the corners. If you're not a good player and they're like, oh, this guy's lost his confidence and he sucks, they're going to freaking leave him alone. Right? They're just going to, like, whatever. Right? And it's almost like they're salivating that Pettersson's on the ice. Not because he's on the ice. I
rest my case.
They're salivating because he has two line mates that can't finish. Right? Yep. That's why they're salivating. It's not because he's on the ice. They're salivating with who he has on the ice. And maybe they know something we don't. Maybe they know he's injured too. Right? But it's not really a thing that he's going out there and saying, hey, I'm injured. This guy's literally not making excuses. Right? Yeah. And this guy definitely not saying like, hey, telling the wife to be like, hey, I want people to have more sympathy for me. So can you make this post? Like, that's bullshit. There's no way he told his wife to do that. The wife definitely did it naturally on her own. Right. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So Witt, did you know that Pettersson is only 49 block shots away from being the franchise leader in forwards for block shots all time?
I did not know that. I actually didn't, but so that is
the countdown begins next year.
That is an amazing stat. That is awesome. And I just want to see a rejuvenated Pettersson play in a culture that we know is going to be good because, you know, whatever you say what you will with Miller, he's gone. Okay. And then you hear the problems that Hughes had with multiple players. Now he's gone. Now what other old players are left? Besser, the last OG remaining that played with the Sedins, right? Like, unless you count Demko, but there's and Besser's like the most classiest guy. So what's left? Everything is fresh. He's got a clean slate now. So we're gonna look forward to this, right? Like it's gonna be good. So, it should be.
So Witt,
going into next. Go ahead, Russ.
If you're gonna slap a line together right now, we're talking about the rejuvenated Petey. We want to get him some guys who are going to take the pressure off of him. If you're doing a lineup right now, the two early lineup, as we call it, in the middle of August here, what two wingers are you slapping on Pettersson's line to start the year next year?
Without a doubt, I didn't even think about it. It's the Brusque and Carlson.
Yeah.
I can't help but think that one game with the 16-0 Corsi, and then they had I don't know, I think they played another game, and if not, it was very short lived, that line put together. But like that line looked awesome, but that also depends if Jake DeBrusk is here. It really depends. And then other than that, you'd have to guess. But I would absolutely have Carlson as one of his wingers. The other guy, you can definitely, try to figure out who it could be. I mean, Ogren did fit well on that line too, don't forget. But Ogren was also good on so many lines. He just looked awesome on the bro line. That's the one that everyone would pin him to. But Ogren and Carlson together with PD, that was also a thing, and that also looked good.
Yeah, I mean, even Cotter might not look bad on the left side sometimes too with him, right?
That was, Cotter, isn't people saying Cotter could be like the next Sherwood?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, what awesome line did they have the year before? Sherwood, DeBrusk, Pettersson. That was an amazing line too. So if Cotter can do what Sherwood did and DeBrusk is still here, that could also work.
Well, and if fans want a better highlight package of Cotter, look at his Vegas highlights, not his Jersey Devils ones, because that guy's got some silky mitts.
Well, I think you guys will probably both agree with me on this. When I look at the lineup as it's sitting right now, whether we have DeBrusk or not moving into the new season, it feels like Manny Malhotra has been set up with players that are somewhat interchangeable in a good way. Different from what happened with Foote last year, where it's like, what are you doing? Why does it look like you threw a bunch of darts at a wall and then you have somebody playing on the left wing for the first time in their whole career, and you're playing a brand new guy you got essentially through waivers, your second line center, blah, 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 all these things. But with the pieces that they have now, it feels like Manny Malhotra could have a very different lineup almost every night of the week, similar to what he did in Abbotsford, and still have great success depending on what kind of chemistry he can find between his players.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see that, because you have some speed on each line and you have some veterans on each line. And I think that's really important for a rebuilding team. And the fact that they have all these options, yeah, maybe don't win so many games, but I am there for a Gallagher getting pushed down and still scoring a goal and getting up and celebrating. I am there for that. I am there when someone is in the crease and Luke Shen says, "Get out of here." I am there for that. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for even just those things, let alone just the goal. I'm excited for those things. So.
Yeah, it's exciting. Where there's lots of good vibes going into the new season. I think, like we said, this last season was one of the darkest in the history of the franchise. So we're looking forward to seeing what Manny and the boys can do, and the new coaching staff and all the new pieces that they brought in. It seems like they said, it's all about the culture. And that's where you start with the rebuild. And it looks like they have done a lot of good moves to get that started in the right direction. So one thing I wanted to tell both of you guys, I don't know if you saw this, it just got announced on August the 7th. The Kalamazoo Wings are going to be playing in an outdoor game in 2027 against the Toledo Walleyes. So the Kalamazoo Wings will be the obviously the ECHL affiliate for the Vancouver Canucks, are going to get an outdoor game in Western Michigan, which is going to be very cool to watch. So obviously not a lot of the high-level prospects that you would expect to see, but it's kind of funny that the Vancouver Canucks have played in one outdoor game with the quotation marks at BC Place. It's funny to see their ECHL team is getting one as well, so that should be fun for anyone who has the availability to watch that. It should be on stream. It will be available on Flow Hockey probably if you do have that. So we keep our eyes a little bit on Kalamazoo because there should actually be, I would say, Dustin, what do you think? Like 3 or 4, maybe 5 guys that'll probably be playing between Abbotsford and Kalamazoo next year?
I think there's probably about 5 bubble guys. And then we're going to have some NCAA guys at the end of the season that might get whipped up into their entry-level contracts, one being Aiden Celebrini. So they're going to need some places for some other people. I think that was why the big push to have exclusivity with Kalamazoo this year and not have rental players come in from other organizations or loan players, I guess is what they call them. So yeah, no, I mean it is funny that pretty much every team in the league, I think, has played an outdoor game in true outdoor, except for the Canucks, even as a visitor now. So maybe one day, maybe one day once they start winning games again. But I'm excited to see to keep tabs on the young guys. We have such a fresh young crop of prospects that are going to be coming into Abbotsford. So it's just that gap that Benning left when he was, the mandate was to win now and all the prospects got traded away, is now gone. We're seeing the first few new young guys come through since basically Lek Aramaki. We'll see probably Coots, Pettersson, Gabe Sherratt, all these young guys in Abbotsford next year. So expect more than you were thinking you would expect, I think, for wins out of both of these teams. I think they're going to get refreshed. There's going to be structure at both levels and just better chemistry for everyone all around.
Yeah. The other little piece of news that just came out too, obviously Sportsnet 650 got shut down, so there is no all sports radio in Vancouver anymore. Brooke Ward, longtime sports reporter here in Vancouver, very veteran member of the media. He tweeted out on August the 13th that sources are now telling me Canucks games will be on Jack FM, which is what we thought was going to happen. But here's the interesting thing that he said in his post. Pre and post game shows of some nature may be on digital or streaming service of some kind. Final details still to be ironed out as of now, but that is the plan. So Witt, obviously, we haven't talked to you about Sportsnet 650 getting shut down, which is a shame for all the content we're getting for them. But what are your thoughts that now, one, the Canucks games are going to be on Jack FM, doing what we want or whatever the hell their tagline is, and then even their pregame and postgame show might just be on some kind of streaming service?
Yeah, I mean, I like this as an alternative. I still prefer the station to still keep going. It's just, there's nothing like going to your radio and you're like, oh, forget this. I don't want to listen to music right now. I just want to listen to people talk hockey, and you just plug that in, right? And I think that's very easy to do. And but now we got to do it like this. And if they're gonna do it like this, and I would prefer it not to be on the streaming service, the pre and post game, just have it all on the radio. Pre, do the game, post game, just do it all on the radio. Because if you're gonna split it up like that, then that's just the same as everything else, like rink wide and all the other stuff they're doing. And then it's just, I mean, I'm not saying competition's bad, but like you're just putting it out there. But it's just different when you have it on the radio. You know what I mean?
Free media is important, and that's why it's nice to have so many content creators to pick up the slack with a radio station getting shut down. And I know Russ has already got our busy schedule for next season sorted out and ready to go. So we will be here for any listeners of 650 that are looking for somewhere to go. We'll be here every game next season in the intermissions and post games. So that's one of the nice things about YouTube.
Yep, we'll have wonderful guests like Witt coming in the intermissions, post game shows, all that kind of stuff. So we got you covered here on Nothing is Perfect.
No, Nothing Perfect is awesome, and I think that point that you just made is very important too. Like, just because 650 shut down and it was it sucks. It does open up like all these other places where people can go to and listen to, right? So that's also a big plus. So where there's something, there's also silver lining, right? And then this is also one, so that's great.
So Witt, before we let you go for the day, is there anything you wanted to say directly to the perfectionists who are listening and viewing this podcast right now?
I just want to say that this Canucks community is an awesome place to be. And whether you agree with someone or disagree, the fact is people just want to hear an opinion. They don't have to agree. They just want to see the interaction. They want to see how you defend your points. They want to see how your thought processes are. They want to see all of that, right? Like no one is listening be like, oh yeah, I want to see if this guy's right all the time. It's like, no, people want to see the true thoughts, the feelings, the passion that comes from talking about this team. That is the most important thing. And I think Canucks community is great for that. Like I just went to Clay's gathering, and that was his first one, and I had a blast there, just being a part of the community, talking Canucks, being around Canuck fans, meeting people I haven't met before. I had met a lot of them digitally, but it's nothing like the real thing. So meeting people that way. I also want to say that there's a lot of great content creators out there, such as yourselves, both of you, and you do an amazing job. And there's enough space for way more of us that are doing this through whatever platform, and people can choose and go and pick what they want, and that is awesome because we're providing options for people and a place where they can voice their opinions, listen to others' opinions, and comment if they want. So I think that we are in a really good place, Canuck fans. We are in a great place to talk hockey all the time. Rebuild, you can say there's some dark days ahead, but you can also look at it and say there's a lot of promise ahead. So there's a lot of great things happening for the Vancouver Canucks, and just tune in, whether it's win or loss. There's a lot of people that have things to say, a lot of people who want to hear what we have to say. So that is my message.
So Witt, for anyone who haven't heard it, but has stuck all the way to the end of this podcast today, where is the best place for everyone listening and viewing to find Witton Chau and all of your content?
Yeah, so if we're talking about Nucks 101 content, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and X. You can find me on those platforms. It's either Nucks 101 or Nucks 101 Hockey, depending on the platforms. I don't have that all in front of me, but if you just type in Nucks 101, you'll be able to find me. I do have TikTok as well, and I'm going to launch my YouTube channel sometime in the first or second week of September. So I'm just working things out with that. And you can find me on the hockey news, the Canucks section. I am one of the three feature writers they have, and plus the very experienced Adam and Izzy along. Those are my mentors. And so we're going to be writing a lot of articles out there. And if anyone has something that they want me to touch on, maybe you inspire me for an article. Maybe you do. And I'll make your voice heard that way, and I'll make sure to give you credit. So there's always ways to get your voice heard. And if anyone wants to say anything, can always message me. I'm always open and approachable if anyone wants to talk about anything. So.
Well, thank you boys very much for joining us today. It's been a lot of fun. Dustin, any last words before we get out of here?
I just want to thank Witton for joining us. And again, congratulations on the new gig with the hockey news. Keep writing passionate and honest and personal, data-driven articles. It's really good stuff, and you will only grow with each article that you write. I look forward to seeing that growth throughout the time. To our listeners out there, as always, you guys are the best. We do this for you. We do it because we love the Canucks, and we do it because we're passionate about getting deep into the details. And so I hope everyone is having a great summer. And until next week, I'm Dustin, one half of Rusty and Dusty, and we'll see you then.
Thanks so much for sticking around to the end of this episode today. I want to let you know that we are going to be live during the Prospect Showcase on September 12th and 13th against the Seattle Kraken. We're also going to be live during all 4 preseason games. And of course, we are going to be on the air for all 84 regular season games for the Vancouver Canucks, including 15 Canucks doubleheaders, which will include a game for the Vancouver Canucks and the Abbotsford Canucks. So we got you covered for everything from the AHL and the NHL. And remember, of course, that we got you covered for the pregame, the postgame, and everything in between, including but not limited to intermission guests, games, and lots of fun. We're going to have people like Nuckhead, Nuck Memes, and Canuck Clay on the show. So if you haven't done it yet, make sure that you like and subscribe wherever you're watching, wherever you're viewing. We appreciate it. And remember that my name is Russell Holiday. This is Nothing is Perfect. And make sure that you make good choices.
Nothing is perfect.